back. 2025 DK Bonanza, Donkey Kong Bonanza, developed by, guess who? Nintendo. Exclusively for the Nintendo Switch 2. Released again July 17th, 2025. I don't want to get too much into it. I got what have we been calling it? Cousin Alex? I got Cousin Alex with me. Cousin Alex, welcome, brother. How you been?
Yeah, good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, dude, glad to have you. I'm looking forward. We both got the Switch too. We both played DK Bonanza, obviously. But I'm looking forward, man, because you've been I've proclaimed you as my Metroid guru. So eventually when Metroid Prime, you're the Metroid master, dude. So Metroid Prime 4 comes out, dude. I think you're going to be defaulted into doing a review with me for that one.
Oh yeah,
for the Switch.
Put me on. I'm ready.
That's good, man. That's good. So we're talking Donkey Kong Bonanza. As I alluded to, it feels like a celebration of Donkey Kong's entire legacy. Like I said, having a unique take, though. It has a lot of Easter eggs from the old games. And the biggest one is, of course, the girl that you pair up with who sings and has a lot of gameplay implications we will dive into. Her name is Pauline. And she's the original gal's name from the original video game Damsel in Distress from the 1981 OG arcade, dude. So I love that right out the gate. Quick summary, Alex, and then I have a rule. Alrighty, so I'll tell you my rule, but I want a quick summary of everything happening here. So it was released July 17th this year. I'm going to call it destructive exploration. You smash everything. Donkey Kong feels like a monster, dude. He hits hard. It's going to be a smash-first adventure 3D platform, I'll call it. Again, you play as Donkey Kong, of course. You got young Pauline tagging along on his back, and you have to travel into a sprawling underground world where you literally carve your path by smashing and lifting chunks of earth, dude. You're fighting against this guy named Void Kong, a cheesy villain who was the president of Voidco. Very, very greedy, I'll say like childish CEO, which we'll get into that. But Alex, my rule, I'll say, is that we each give a review. One review right out of the gate. We'll get a number, 1 to 10. I'm giving it a 7.4 out of 10. Okay. It felt a little childish, a little cheesy at times, but I did appreciate the physics, the look, the overall feel of the game. Pretty cool gameplay. A little repetitive at times, but closed out strong, man. What say you?
Yeah, no, I gave it an 8.
Nice.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on your points. Definitely cheesy, childish. Don't want to get too much into it yet, but some of the boss fights was like you didn't even have to attempt speed running it, and you're speed running it. The look, the feel, yeah, it was really. They did an excellent job in terms of the graphics, the physics, like you said. So, yeah,
sure, and that'll carry us right over into the gameplay. And I don't want to get too repetitive here, but it's a 3D adventure. It plays like Mario Odyssey, you know what I mean? Which is kind of gives you a look and feel. If you played a lot of Switch games or Nintendo games before, I thought it was a little better than Odyssey. Did you think? What say you? Did you think DK was kind of stand out between the Mario games, or?
I think I liked Odyssey a little bit more.
Sure.
I think just because of the novelty of it at the time had maybe a little more impact on me. Although the gameplay, the physics, like you said, I mean, there's nothing like this in the Nintendo world where you can destroy pretty much every inch of the map and then put it back if you want and then destroy it again.
Yeah.
That's so unique. And it led to, like you said, it's like smash first and you're asking questions later. You could pretty much side quest the whole sub layer until you destroy everything, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'll move on with the story now. Like, that's fine.
Dude, that's so well said. It is. It's very satisfying gameplay. It mixes, I'm almost going to call it like a sandbox style level design. Like you think about your Minecraft and your other games, there are these large interconnected areas to roam. I mean, and you have an objective, right? You talk to an NPC and they'll point you the way to go. But you can go all over. You can explore. And what I enjoyed is, like you said, you can smash and crush your way through everything because DK just felt like a beast, you know? But the
Yeah.
game really rewarded your exploration. The more you explored and the more these you found these like large banana what are they called, like the banana gems, I'll say,
Yeah, yeah.
as you completed a level, you'd be rewarded these like group of these banana gems which you could rack up for skill points, you know. So there's an RPG element to it as well where you could customize how you improved or progressed through the game, you know. But back to what you said, like that sandbox style, I call them tactile interactions. You can
Mm.
punch your way through almost any wall. You can rip out terrain. You can punch downward into the ground and create a massive cave. And you can just create a cavern throughout the entire level, you know?
Yeah,
You could use terrain as a projectile to get extra height and to jump. It's so
yeah,
interactive. And again, you would find like fossils and these bananas and other treats, I'll say, that you can use for
yeah,
upgrades and clothing pieces, which add buffs. So it was cool. There was a little customization aspect to it. But at first glance, it's like, hey, I'm playing a Mario game as DK with
yeah,
just bananas in there. But then, like you said, that whole that unique aspect where you can just break your way and crush your way through everything.
yeah. The the thing that I liked, and I liked it, but I think it was you could abuse it so much, was the bonanzas. It's a unique
Hmm.
way to upgrade DK skills or add a new element to the game. And I don't know how spoilery we want to get here, but there's different animals that you can turn into that give you different abilities, obviously. And
Hmm.
I mean, you could absolutely cheese bosses. You could cheese the level design and make it so easy, almost.
Yeah.
Well, it became too easy, and it's just like mindless, and that's I think a con of the game.
Hmm.
I almost wish there was like a level, like you a difficulty where you could make it harder, and that
Hmm.
was definitely one of the flaws of the gameplay for me. But yeah, like you were saying, the physics, the look, the feel, I appreciated the layering of each map. You could look out and admire the landscape or
Hmm.
the lack of landscape which you destroyed,
Yeah.
and then go right into another sublayer, and it's like you're hitting a whole new world.
That's so true. The one thing, the bonanza transformations. And I'll call it like that you just alluded to it, you know, the bonanza, these buffs or these short-term buffs was a kind of like a big trademark and gimmick of the game. And it was a huge aspect. So Pauline, you can get these short power-up buffs that you can charge up by collecting coins, right? And yeah, like you said, you can transform bonanza in quotes forms, but there's an
Mhm.
elephant, there's an ostrich, a zebra. These form changes, they change your traversal in combat a little bit, you know? So you need these transformations at times to progress through the game. And really, at the initial glance, they make for very creative puzzle and interesting level designs and some genuinely fun set pieces. But what you said, the game felt so easy. You could abuse them and the charge them right back up. You finish your
Yeah,
transformation, you charge them
yeah,
right back up in 2 seconds. And then
yeah,
all of
yeah,
a sudden you're back at it and you could
yeah, yeah.
absolutely destroy these bosses. And that'll be the next piece I want to talk about. The bosses are total pushovers.
Totally,
Some of
totally.
them had some cool mechanics, like the Poppy Kong. She like went invisible. She was the
Yeah, when
gal.
invisible. Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
but then like the Stomp and Clomper and the Big Bat. You know, I don't want to
Uh,
ruin too much. The final boss had a cool
yeah,
little aspect, but
yeah, right, right.
did you like maybe once or twice I had to try multiple times. Like usually it was a one
Yeah,
and done. You're right.
yep,
You're speed
yep,
running without even realize you're speed running. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You're bashing them and then you quick run over, bash him, quick run over, bash him, boom, done.
yep,
All
yep,
the same mechanics. The game felt way too easy,
yep.
especially during the day-to-day usual combat. And then I will say, and I agree with what you said, is that it's kind of like a con at times where it was so easy, and then all of a sudden it would have like a huge steep turn in certain levels in terms of difficulty level that felt misplaced. Like there
Yeah,
was a poison level, and even the final boss,
yeah,
the very
yeah,
final boss, I felt had a steep difficulty curve that took some time to
yeah,
figure out. But the
yep,
few spike in levels, like the punishing design at just random points, just felt frustrating. It didn't really feel like I was playing a difficult game. I was just like, come on, like you're just making this difficult to make it difficult. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
real quick aside is that I was playing, a lot of games this year to, we're going to do eventually like a 2025 game of the year vote between us. But, I played the Split Fiction. I just played Expedition 33, quite difficult. I played the Black Myth Wukong 2024. Maybe I'm biased in that I've been playing these hard ass games. You know what I mean? But all of a sudden, these bad choke points where the design just didn't feel right and it felt frustrating.
Definitely the poison level was definitely one that
Poison,
stands
yeah.
out. All
Yeah,
the
for
other
sure.
ones are fairly, I don't want to say simple, but the environment wasn't as unforgiving.
Hmm.
And even the because that's maybe halfway through the game, and then you don't even get that, like you said, until about the end,
Hmm.
which is just an interesting progression of the game.
Yeah.
The one other thing that I don't want to harp too much on the boss fights,
Hmm.
but I do like and appreciate some of the three banana like mini levels.
Oh
They make
yeah.
you think a little bit. It's more of like puzzles, and I really do appreciate the 2D callbacks. I almost wish there were more of them.
Right.
I think there were only 4 or 5 that I can think of, but I wish there were more of them, just because that is a huge aspect of DK and just Nintendo in general. DK Mario. Yeah, I just wish there were more of them.
You're right, dude. That totally slipped my mind. So glad you brought that up because those little bonus challenges are very nostalgic. Now, this is the
Yeah.
first DK game, and I think over a decade, I think,
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
so it was like we alluded to, like it had its legacy moments. There were some these challenges where it was all of a sudden 2D, and it's a side scroller, and the music changed to the old
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
SNES Super Nintendo
Yes.
vibes, dude. You're shooting through barrels like you were in in the 90s playing
Yeah.
Donkey Kong. So it was true to the originals, and I wish 100% agree. I wish they had more of those bonus challenges because I felt like I was playing a Mario game. Then all of a sudden I get thrown into this. I'm like, oh, this is sick. This brings me
Yeah.
right back, and
Yeah.
it has a different, the music change that just felt very pleasing and the style felt very pleasing. And that was, you're right. Like that was a couple of these challenges as that you could, smash and destroy your way through. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, what's this? Okay, this is a little
Yeah.
side quest or a little side challenge. You get a banana jam, you add to your skill point. Great, let's do it. And then all of a sudden you're having a blast, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a very highly rated in my eyes area of the game is the graphics and the design.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. I feel Nintendo really used DK Bonanza as a way to showcase the Switch 2. I thought, it was the first real big release after re-releasing the two Zelda games, which people bitched
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So you're paying some big money for the Switch 2. You're paying
Yeah.
$80 for DK Bonanza, right? And they did a good job with this. You know what I mean? I especially noticed the graphics in the caverns or caves underground, like the beautiful lighting and effects. And the Switch 2 in general, everything was so pleasing to the eye. The Switch did well, the original Switch, like
Mhm.
especially in the Zelda games, but now the Switch 2 does extremely well is just the lighting, the look of the games are just so pleasing to the eye. You know what I mean? Is the best way I can say that. But one area I want to say is like the particle-y chunk effects, because we talked about how you're smashing, you're destroying everything,
Yeah.
just picking up these chunks, pulling these chunks, and the vibrations that happened with the Switch just felt so smooth and looked so good. It felt real. Because when the vibrations happened, when you hit hard, when you blew through objects or pounded the ground, it was perfect and it felt and looked so real, despite playing a cartoony game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I have much to add about the look. We definitely touched on that a lot. The one thing that my brother actually commented on
Yeah.
was the camera. He felt like the camera was a little too
Uh-huh.
loose, like it would lead to some funky camera angles when you're in those caves and caverns. It could lead to you falling off of stuff if you're on the edge and it's kind of warping a certain way. I mean, I'd say it's a little bit better than Super Mario 64, if you remember using that
Hmm.
camera. But
So true. You got to use the C
yeah,
buttons to,
yeah, yeah,
to navigate your way. That was absolutely a flaw. You're underground and you get lost. I'm like, come on,
yeah, yeah,
fix my camera because all you see is the ground. You can't even see your character. And that
yeah.
happened, and
That's
they
right.
tried to adjust it, but you're right. It wasn't smooth. The camera was absolutely a flaw. So
Yeah,
so I agree, and yeah, like you said, the lighting, everything else looked great in terms of the look of it. And I
yeah,
always test the game by looking at the water. How does
yeah,
the
yeah,
water look?
yeah.
Like you said, looking at the backdrop, looking off into the distance. And this, as a test, first started for me when I first played World of Warcraft in 2004. Like, how does the backdrop
Mm.
look? Like looking out and seeing that land, does it feel immersive? Can I see something sweet in the distance and go over that way to check it
Yeah,
out?
right.
Switch 2 and DK Bonanza
Yeah,
doesn't disappoint in that aspect,
they
but the
hit it.
flaw
Yeah,
in terms of the design, yeah, is definitely the camera. And I'll even say sometimes the level design got a little repetitive. You know what I mean? There were 17 different sub layers, each with different little mini sub layers in it. And I was just like,
right,
it felt like I
right.
was doing the same thing over and over again. Of course, some levels stood out, but that was an
Yeah,
aspect I
oh yeah,
felt was like a little repetitive, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
Audio, sound effects, and
Oh,
music. I'm going to kind of lump in together. I talked about the Switch 2. And the Switch did this. The original Switch did this as well. Is it just sounds satisfying? You know what I mean? I love the little clicks and the little beeps that the Switch 2 does. And
yeah,
even just the music feels like pleasant to the ears. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
when you complete a certain level, like Pauline will sing. I don't want to ruin anything too much, and she does a good job, some catchy songs. But you
yeah.
know, in Split Fiction review, I talked about this where Expedition 33, and that's probably some of the best music of any game this year,
Oh,
any game in the
yeah.
last decade. Like, I'm not downloading the Donkey Kong Bonanza playlist on Spotify.
No,
You know what I mean?
no,
It was
no,
joyful.
no,
It made the game fun, but I don't want to hear it again tremendously.
no. And which I actually feel like was another. I don't maybe not con, but
Sure.
maybe a little bit of a disappointment. They think about all the good tunes they had in DK Country in
Oh,
a few of the DK countries,
yes.
and there's hardly any callback to them. And
Right.
not that this music wasn't pleasing,
Hmm.
but I feel like there's some missed opportunity there for
Big
kids
time.
that haven't heard any of the aquatic
Oh,
DK
it's
country
so
music.
great, dude.
Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
that is some revolutionary test of time music, dude. Some of the greatest.
Truly, truly.
100%. You can't even put DK Bonanza's music in the same sentence as Donkey Kong
No,
Country 1 and Two's music. You know what I mean?
no,
It
no.
was like Donkey Kong Bonanza felt like tribal music meets like industrial music, or so. I don't even know the way I can describe it, but it
Yeah,
does have a little bit of reminiscence in the old school way, like during the challenges, like we alluded to, where
yeah,
where
right,
it
right.
went back to those nostalgia. But you're right, you can't even put it in the same sentence. The only thing I will say that is that really stood out in terms of the sound effects was the effects of the noise around there, like when you're
Oh my
smashing and
gosh.
throwing,
Yeah, yeah,
the way that
yeah,
matched up with the physics was well done. But yeah, like you
yeah.
said,
I agree.
I'm not
I agree.
downloading the damn soundtrack on Spotify, right?
No, no. I don't know if this falls into sound audio or
Mhm.
not, but the freaking vinyls. I only
Oh yeah.
had like maybe 18 by the end. I'm like, where do you get these things?
They felt like random
I don't
drops, right?
understand. Yeah, yeah. And if you're gonna have 118 vinyls or however many there are, make them a little more frequent.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It felt like a trivial aspect of the game. Like, what am
Yeah,
I doing with
yeah,
these? Why am I getting them? Right?
yeah,
And that kind of just transitions us right into the replayability. There is an end game. which I didn't dive into
Mhm.
too much. I was ready to take a break after beating the final boss.
Yeah.
But like we alluded to, the game rewarded your exploration. There is a big chunk of secrets. You can max your skill trees, right? And
Mhm.
I think what will be a long-lasting aspect of the game is that you can 100% levels, right? People are
Yep.
still figuring things out. We're almost a month after release, right? It's July 17th, so we're almost a month. Or yeah, we're a month after
Yeah.
release, and there is a boss mode and a mode which makes the boss fights harder, which I think you and I would appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, these vinyls, there were certain things and like different kinds of fossils that you're like, I don't. This game's already easy. I don't need to upgrade my guy that much.
Yeah. Yeah. The replayability, I think, for me will be the 100%ing,
Right.
and that's it's definitely something I was trying early on. I think maybe the first two levels I 100% completed, but then after that I kind of gave up on it, and I think that was more of a I'll get back to this level. I can appreciate it a little bit more rather than 100%ing it and never going back to it. And
Hmm.
that just might be a me thing.
Right.
But yeah, definitely the boss mode, having harder bosses, and yeah, I recognize that this game is probably more for younger children, but
Right.
it's DK. I mean, when did the
Right.
first DK game outside of an arcade come out? It's got to be like the 90s, DK Country, something
Sure.
like
Yeah.
that. I
Yep.
mean, there's a lot of people that are our age or even a little bit older that would appreciate maybe a little more difficulty, a little more challenge.
And although the original DK from the 90s was rated E for everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And but it didn't feel like,
Oh, it was absolutely not
yeah,
easy.
right.
It
It
was
wasn't
not
easy.
easy.
And it didn't feel like I could have played Donkey Kong Country for the first time today, and I truly think I would enjoy it and not have the
Oh yeah,
same like, all right, this is a little immature. These bosses are a little cheesy. You know what I mean? I feel
yeah.
like I wouldn't have that reaction with Donkey Kong Country, the original. And even like I feel like Mario does this better with Bowser at times. Of course it's kiddie, but they make some of the aspects of the Bowser fights. We talked a lot about this in the video game villains entry where we had Bowser, where
Yeah.
there's some memorable Bowser fights, right? And he's
Oh
always
yeah,
like, oh geez, he's always like trying to get with Princess Peach, but I feel like they don't make it that immature. They don't make it that easy and like a total
yeah,
pushover. I don't know. It's hard to kind of compare contrast, but I feel like this game fell short. It felt like the bosses fell short. The style fell short.
yeah. Even reflecting back on Odyssey, I don't quite remember the bosses being that easy.
Hmm.
At least it would take a little bit more time where, yeah, you might have to dodge a few more things, projectiles, you might have to hit them a few more times, or you only get certain opportunities to hit them, like, you pretty
Right.
much just had free reign,
Right.
hitting the bonanza mode and just go absolutely ape shit on them, and
Right.
like that
Yeah,
that's it.
it was one and done. One and
Yeah.
done with the bosses, except the final boss. I thought the final boss
Yeah,
was
right.
difficult.
Yes, the final boss. Yeah.
You're right. And just as a recap, I feel like we've been knocking this game more than we've been pumping it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was fun, right? It
Yeah, oh
was
my gosh, it was fun.
very
Yeah.
enjoyable in terms of the sound effects. Not necessarily the music. The music was fun at times, but the sound effects, the gameplay
Yeah.
had some cool fun. So it looked absolutely beautiful. But
Yeah.
again, you and I are consumers. We paid the Switch 2 price, right? We paid
Yeah,
the
yep.
$80 for Donkey Kong Bonanza. We don't play these games for free. So I'd like to see for Donkey Kong Bonanza, the reason it took a hit for me is because I'd like to see more quality gameplay. I'd like to see way more mechanics, a little bit more in-depth story, some relatability to the characters. You know what I mean? I know it's Donkey Kong, but give me something, and
Yeah.
the variable difficulty levels. You know what I mean? I want a little bit more consistency. I want to try the boss and be challenged a little bit. Like you said, go in Bonanza mode, get your buff mode, and just go ham. It
Yep,
just feels
yep.
repetitive. The bosses didn't stand out, right? And
No.
overall with the Switch too, I want some more quality games. You know what I mean? After I beat Donkey Kong Bonanza, I'm like, okay, back to my PC, I guess, until Pokemon comes out
Yeah.
in October. You know?
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, you're definitely right there, and I know that's not, this is not a review on the Switch 2,
Fair.
but I know Nintendo slow rolls this stuff because they're Nintendo.
Yes.
I don't know.
Because they can, because they're Nintendo.
Yeah, right.
All right, man. Well, that's all I really had, dude. I feel
Yeah.
like we kind of hit it. You gave it an 8, and I feel like that's a fair rating. 8 out of 10 is a good
Yeah.
rating.
Yeah, it is a good rating. It is, and I think more my gripes with the game are more just like disappointments that I mean, the game was hyped up. It's getting a lot of really, really excellent
Yeah.
reviews from larger
Right.
people in the community, and
Yeah.
I don't think it was anything groundbreaking. And maybe that's just like I'm out seeing the reviews, which I was trying to stay away from the reviews. But if you go on Twitter when it came out, it was like a deluge of reviews or quote tweets about it. Like it's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was a really good game, and I appreciated everything about it,
Mhm.
even the stuff that I maybe knocked. But
Yeah. Really good. I think that's a good way to say it. Really good, not great for me.
yeah,
And you know what? I feel like someone might listen to this. I've seen quotes even on Twitter, and this is people in the comment section saying like, "Oh, this is the game of the decade, not game of the year." And I remember seeing that and be like, "What? Like, how many
yeah,
games have you played, though?"
yeah,
And
yeah, right.
after playing a lot of the other games just this year in 2025, it doesn't really stand out that much. People can disagree
Yeah,
with us, and that's totally fine.
yeah, oh yeah,
You know what I
yep,
mean? I like it in the low to mid sevens. You like it
yeah,
as an 8, and I think
yeah,
we agree on the sense that it is a fun game. You can play it, and it's
yeah,
gonna feel great at times, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. But it's gonna get repetitive. You're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, that boss is easy as shit." You know what I mean? So,
yeah, yep,
there's gonna be that aspect of it, right?
yep,
All right. Well, Alex, cousin Alex, thank you for
yeah.
joining, brother. Hope all is
Anytime,
well.
anytime.
We'll get you
Yeah,
back on Metroid and some others hopefully
yeah,
soon.
yeah, yeah. Sounds good.
Will you play the Pokemon? Will you play the Pokemon?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah. Legends ZA, I'll play.
Yes, fantastic.
I've I've played every Pokemon game and ROMs and you name it, and I've probably played it.
DC, see, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
shame, right? But yeah,
Nope.
man,
Nope.
we'll hit Pokemon Legends. That's coming out in October, so I guess we'll
Yeah.
get you back on here quite soon, brother.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll be ready.
Alrighty.